Welcome back to the Feminine Purpose Podcast. I'm your host, Trish. I'm a feminine soft skills expert, and I help women like yourself return back home to your feminine nature so that you can create and attract the type of relationship harmony you truly desire and deserve. If you tuned into last week's episode, you know that we talked about everything, all things wounded feminine energy. There's so much to talk about when it comes to feminine energy. So essentially last week was really just a quick introduction to what wounded feminine energy really is. I gave you my top 3 ways how to know if you might be operating in your wounded feminine space. So if you have not checked out that episode, I highly recommend you check it out. That's episode 4, because today we're going to be diving into a topic that if you are not at all familiar with anything femininity, anything in terms of your divine femininity, how to be a healthy feminine woman, this is likely, possibly going to trigger you. I would highly recommend, if you're not ready to tune into this week's episode, I would suggest starting at the last week. But if you're already here and you find yourself uncomfortable with what I'm talking about, first and foremost, that means that there's inner work to do. And secondly, that also just means go back to that last episode, because we'll dive deeper into it and I'll help you kind of identify if you might be struggling with this. And as always, I'm here to support a girly out. Hit me up if you want to connect. Today, we are going to dive into the topic of surrendering and submitting to your man. As always, y'all know I love to set an episode with some definitions. First and foremost, we're going to talk about the what, why, and how when it comes to surrendering. We'll define what it technically means to surrender. We'll discuss the negative stigma that's surrounded around the terminology of surrendering or submitting, and how that's perpetuated in our society and why you may likely have a negative association with the terminology. Then we will talk about why we actively, as modern day women, do not surrender and almost fight submission and fight this idea of submitting to our masculine men. We'll talk about why your wounded feminine ego is likely prohibiting you from surrendering. Yes, I said it. It has a lot to do with a wounded feminine energy. So check out, again, I'm like a broken record. Check out last week's episode if you want to listen and learn about that. And then we will talk about why, in my opinion, surrendering is actually the key secret that feminine women use to gain control. I said it, y'all. It's hot. It's hot today. I told you. It's the tea. It's the tea. And then last but not least, we will talk about how we women can surrender. I'll dive into the topic of how men are already surrendering in this day and age. If you are not aware of it, I will share with y'all my perspective of why I believe they are already surrendering to us women. I'll share with you how you probably already are submitting and surrendering some ways in your life. So you are more than capable, right? You're capable of doing this because you already do it. And then I will challenge your existing notion of submission and get you to see how, again, you're already surrendering and submitting in other ways in your life. So we just need to course correct you, girly, and get you into the right direction so that you're able to tap into that feminine submissive energy with the person who deserves it the most, your man. So let's dive into it. What is surrendering? According to the Merriam-Webster definition, y'all know I love a legit definition, not the stuff you see online. Surrendering is the action of yielding one's person or giving up the possession of something, especially into the power of another. In other words, you're giving up your power. Because of this definition, there are oftentimes a very negative stigma surrounding the topic of surrendering. And this is why, in my opinion, it's so difficult for women to be submissive or surrender when it actually matters. It's because the average modern day woman here in America just feels triggered and uncomfortable about this topic, because that's what feminism has taught us. It's taught us that any kind of tradition is bad. That's how I was raised. The word submission or submissive or surrendering, I had an immediate negative physical reaction to the terms. So why, as a woman, you are likely upset or triggered by this concept? It's likely because it's been perpetuated by pop culture, movies, TV shows, and even in your own household with your parents. If you grew up similarly to how I grew up, my mom definitely made little comments here and there that stuck with me as like core memories and built this narrative in my head, because that's what happens in your childhood. That's what your parents do. They're literally, through their behaviors and what they speak and what they say and what they communicate, you then actually absorb all of that. It's called generational trauma, boo-boo. That's what it is. So that's what I have. I have a lot of trauma surrounding the topic of gender, around femininity, around being submissive as a woman and as a wife to a partner. And so that's where a lot of my trauma stems from. And I want to dive into a few limiting beliefs that may cross your mind, because for me, these were, I would say before, very subconscious thoughts that I didn't even realize were making it difficult for me to have a growth mindset about gender, being even open to this topic of relationship polarity, masculine, feminine polarity, and whatnot. And I want you to think if maybe you have thought these as well. If I surrender, he will control me. If I surrender, he will not handle shit. If I surrender, I will lose my power. Let it just marinate. Those are absolutely just a few top statements and beliefs that I would have in my mind. The irony with all these thoughts, though, is that when you actually learn the art of surrendering to your man, chances are, if he is that good guy that you fell in love with, right? The great man you're in a committed relationship with, and if you're married, the husband that you've decided to live your life with, to share your life with, he should be able to rise to the occasion and not let you down. He's going to make mistakes. He'll let you down occasionally, I'm sure, because no one is perfect. However, generally speaking, he will live up to the expectation and role of that masculine man who will lead. Why should we believe this? So let's make a quick intentional side tangent as to what truly drives men and women. Because if you do not understand that men and women are very different, it's going to be really, really difficult for you to wrap your mind around a lot of what we're going to discuss in this podcast and future episodes. Let's start off with men. Men are driven by having a purpose in life and being respected. When you continue as a woman to argue, debate, belittle, and challenge every single thing that he has to say or do, it's going to manifest in two types of scenarios. The first one is he's going to be increasingly aggressive, which we do not like, not healthy, that's very toxic, but it can be a result of this type of dynamic and environment where a woman is constantly challenging a man. Or alternatively, he'll become a bitch. He's going to become beta. I said it, y'all. I said it. Sorry, not sorry, okay? And truly, ladies, what healthy feminine woman is actually attracted to a man she can fucking boss around? I don't know about y'all. I'm not into it. That's not my cup of tea. If that's your cup of tea, all right, this is not the podcast for you. And that is okay. Here's the thing. If you're tuning in right now and you're listening, and whether it's striking a chord in you or you're actually already like, great, self-aware girl, you're very self-aware, you're vibing, you know that is the true nature of a man. So again, purpose and respect. Now let's talk about women. What drives us women? We are driven by the need to be loved, cherished, adored, and given attention to. So when I say that it's very important to surrender, it's because ultimately, if we want to gain that main love, feeling cherished, adored from our partner, from our man, you are going to want to be very, very mindful of how you respect him or if you're disrespecting him. And a lot of times you don't even realize that you're disrespecting him. You think you're just being you. You're just being that bitch. That's how I was too. It's time to wake the fuck up. That does not work. Most of the time, it will not work. Time and time again, women are often ranking feeling cherished, loved, and adored as the main driving force as to why they want to be married and why they're committed to their partners and what really garners them happiness in their marriage and their relationships, because that is the core desire that they want to be met in their relationship. In order to get that, you're literally fighting against your partner. You're refusing to listen. You're refusing to surrender when it really is required for you to, when it's going to best suit you, right? You're going against his nature of having a purpose, because his purpose is to make you fucking happy. I don't know if you realize this, ladies, but men want to make us happy. They want to. And if you are with some guy that doesn't want to make you happy, he's not the average man, and he needs to go. That's bye. He's out. The average man wants to eventually settle down, will want to appease you. Trust me, he wants to please you. You just need to realize that one key way to get him to tap into that desire and for him to consistently show up and want to appease you, cherish, love, and adore you is for you to respect him and for you to allow him the space to fucking lead. If you continue to fight against the man and try to constantly challenge and berate him and critique every single thing he fucking does, you are literally depriving him of his purpose of being respected. You will lose, honey. Trust me. So now the third part of this episode is how we will surrender and how you're already likely doing this. I would argue that men are already surrendering to women in this day and age. Let's dive into this topic a bit more. I'm really passionate about this. I've talked about this on a few other episodes. But essentially, men have already surrendered to you if he's committed and monogamous with you. Men are independent by nature. Men have sexual desires, and their literal purpose on this earth biologically in terms of, let's get to the bare minimum. Let's not talk about intellectual topics. Let's just discuss the biological component of a man is to spread his seed. Now, men and the society that we live in have realized that does not benefit us as a society. It just benefits everyone better to have a partner that you mate with for life. Now, whether y'all want to open that up later on the road is a different conversation, but we're talking about having this nuclear family. That's just traditionally what has made sense and what generally makes sense for the human race. And so because of that, he's already gone against the nature of wanting to look at other women all the time, wanting to have sex with other women. He's become loyal to you. So that in itself, he has been locked down. They make jokes about this, right? Ball and chain, all that shit. Oh, she locked you down, right? There's a lot of jokes like that because it actually goes against a man's nature. However, an intelligent man, the smart man, knows that he will win at life. Life will be better for him if he can find a very worthy female to create a life with and really invest his time, energy, and resources into that one woman. But ladies, you need to also be deserving of that. And as much as I'm all about self-love, I truly believe that existing as a woman is not enough. I said it. I know it's a bit controversial. I know there's a lot of female empowerment movements out there, and there's a lot of content creators that I actually follow, and I really enjoy their content for the most part. But sometimes I sniff a little bit of that female entitlement. You can have that entitlement, ladies, if you've truly, truly elevated yourself. Meaning you are not the average woman that's addicted to dopamine hits by getting attention from male validation on the internet. You are not out there having casual sex and just throwing it around, not being intentional with your body because your body is a big part of who you are as a woman. You give life, you create life, right? And I know that I'm very sex positive in my podcast. I want to address that. I know that I've said a lot of things about being very sex positive in the past, and that has not changed. I truly believe it's a woman's right to be able to do what she wants with her body. And we cannot deny that there are negative consequences when it comes to her health, her actual her mind, her mental health. Studies have shown too much casual sex affects a woman's brain. And a lot of women get affected by this negatively, unfortunately. Again, I didn't make the rules, baby girl. This is just how it works. Men have already been surrendering. I would say the biggest way I know a man has already submits to his wife is because he literally fell for the De Beers diamond marketing scam. It's one of the biggest scams in the world. If you do not know about it, Google it, De Beers diamond scam, etc. Whatever. You can learn about it. You're welcome. I still love me some diamonds, but it's a scam. Okay? We can acknowledge that something's a scam and really like it. Men know. This smart man will know that diamonds intrinsically have no value, but he knows that that's what the lady wants. Again, ladies, time and time again, I'm showing you that men just want to make us happy. The man in our life wants to make us happy. He's happy to have us be his loyal, committed wife. He just wants a few fucking basic things. And one of the basic, I would say, like entry-level things that he should and he's allowed to expect from his female partner is to not constantly disrespect him and to trust his decision-making. That's it. And when a girl wants to clap back on that and be like, well, I can't get back. I can't do that, girl. Trish, I have a difficult time with this. Well, that is what I'm here for. A lot of other mentors and coaches and therapists are here for, because there is some inner work that you need to do that I can't cover in a podcast and you're not going to get from a book. Okay. That kind of summarizes why, in my opinion, men have already surrendered, right? First, they've already decided to buy you a fucking diamond ring, a ring, right? Whatever stone you choose, it's still a symbolic jewelry that a woman wears to show that the man is hers now. Like he's not supposed to be, in the traditional sense, spreading his seed, even though we know that's biologically why it's difficult for men to be loyal. I'm not saying it's impossible, but a lot of men out there struggle with it. The good ones won't, because they have a partner like myself, like us ladies, who are very much committed to our growth. We take care of ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I truly think when a woman does all of those things and she feels like she knows in her heart that she is really moving towards growth, She's committed to becoming a better woman for herself and for her partner, and understanding how men work and making sure that she can meet his basic ass fucking needs. That if he's a good man, he will be loyal to you. I truly believe that. It's not impossible. He buys you the flowers, he gets you the ring, he vows in front of his family and friends that he's going to be loyal to you. Like, girl, do I need to really go on? He's already somewhat surrendered to you. He's your man. He's loyal. Now, I want to talk about how we as women are already surrendering and submitting in other ways in our lives, especially when it comes to your work. So let's talk about the day-to-day of a woman, right? As a working woman, we wake up at a certain time to get to work. Wherever that workplace is, whether you work from home or you work in a physical place, a workplace, corporate office, etc., whatever. You wake up, make sure you're there at a certain time. You complete your tasks. Your boss tells you, I need this. Noted, got you, done, boss. They say, hurry up and get this handled last minute. Got it. You have deadlines, you have tasks, you have responsibilities. You need to be able to rise up to the occasion and complete your tasks. Like, you're essentially already surrendering and submitting at work all the fucking time. So now you've spent your entire day, the average person, right? If you work for someone, you work 8 to 10 hours a day. You've given your most precious resource to someone else already, as is your time. Your time is your most precious resource as a human being. It's limited. You cannot get it back, no matter how much money you make. There are ways to prolong your life, absolutely, but you can never go back in time, and time is very finite. When you get home, you probably have already tapped out, right? In terms of like your submission, your abilities to surrender, but that is just not acceptable. You need to be able to transition at home and reserve a good amount of that for your partner. Every day will be different, but generally speaking, you need to shift your mindset, ladies, at making sure that you've really preserved that energy where it matters the most. Because at the end of the day, your boss isn't going to be fucking there for you when you're dying. Your partner will be, okay? Surrendering to your man when you get home is actually quite simple. So I'm going to break down a few different ways of how we can do it. So when your man has an idea, just support him. Unless it's something fucking criminal, unless he's going to literally put you into bankruptcy, into so much debt, or really, put you at risk. Unless it's one of those extremes, just be like, cool, I support you. Music to his ears. Just be supportive. Just do not have an opinion about it. Just let him be. When he wants to buy something, don't question him about it. It brings him joy. A lot of things you buy bring you joy. So hopefully, I bet you he's not questioning you. So reciprocate that for him. If he has an opinion on something that he's really passionate about and you find yourself just wanting to debate, to play devil's advocate, unless you would want to die on that hill, let it go and just say, hear you. Yeah, that makes sense. It's not saying you have to agree with everything he says, but you're open to hearing what he has to say. And you're giving him this free space where he can be himself. It's super important. It makes you very attractive, ladies. It keeps the passion alive in your relationship when a man can feel like he can be himself at home. You're his partner. He wants to share all his crazy fucking ideas with. Don't judge him. Last but not least, do not critique everything he does. That's what his mom is for. He didn't want to marry his mom. He married you. Truth, ladies. If you wanted to marry his mom, you would have. That's fucking weird. So he married you. So this is not the time or place to act like his mother when you watch him and how he does certain things. Even if it drives you crazy, if it's not that serious, let it go. This is called sweating the small stuff, and it's not worth it. And ladies, I hate to break it to you, but if you have ever observed your partner being very happy or smiley, or his tone of voice seems more pleasant when he's on the phone with like friends or coworkers, or you've seen him in that different environment acting that way and you notice, damn, like there's a bit of a shift when he's with me and he's not as happy or relaxed, it's probably because he feels respected in those places around those people, and with you he doesn't. I know, it's really hard. I actually used to get so triggered when I would hear my husband on the phone or texting with his friends, or when I would hear him on a Zoom call when he was doing a business meeting at home, and I would get really fucking butthurt. I was like, why does he sound so happy talking to other people? And then I realized it's because I don't respect him. I didn't realize I was disrespecting him. So there you have it, ladies. We've talked about what it really means to surrender and submit. We talked about why it's very important for you to be open to doing this and why this will benefit you because your man is already doing it and you're already doing it, right? You're already doing it. And then last but not least, we talked about how you can start to surrender and submit in your house. I hope you found this episode useful. I'll catch y'all in the next episode.